Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a corporate autopsy on an absolute pioneer. We're looking at a company that, honestly, quite literally built the internet as we know it today. But then, they somehow completely lost control of their own future. We're going to investigate the rise and fall of a true digital empire. We'll look at the strategic choices, the missed opportunities, and the massive technological disruptions that turned a titan into, well, a cautionary tale.
Okay, let's dive into this. $125 billion. That was Yahoo's peak valuation. And I really want to establish those massive stakes right up front because, it's so easy to look back with modern eyes and forget just how gigantic this company actually was. This wasn't just some lucky tech startup. No, this was an undisputed digital empire that owned the very first era of the internet. I mean, they had all the money, all the users, and literally all the momentum.
And that insane financial success came from a very specific reality, which is captured perfectly by this quote. Yahoo once controlled the gateway to the internet. Think about that. For millions and millions of early internet users, their entire online journey started exclusively through Yahoo's ecosystem. If you were logging onto the web in the late 90s, you weren't going to a blank search bar. You were going to Yahoo just to figure out what the internet even was. They literally held the keys to the kingdom. So to understand how they lost those keys, here is our investigation roadmap for today's explainer. First, Yahoo's golden age. Second, missing the Google opportunity. Third, fatal internal leadership decisions. Fourth, the fall of a digital empire. And finally, lessons from Yahoo's failure. Section 1. Yahoo's golden age, the gateway to the early internet. The core of this early dominance was really what we call the portal business model. Yahoo gave you search, email, news, online services, all in one single place. They became the ultimate one-stop shop. And look, the strategy was simple, but at the time, completely brilliant. Capture a user's attention the exact moment they log on and give them absolutely everything they might want so they never, ever have to leave. This model completely shaped early internet behavior. Yahoo wasn't just a website. For a whole generation, it was the entire internet experience.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Over in the 1990s, we have that total early internet dominance. Then, by the 2000s, that portal business hits its absolute financial and cultural peak. But as we move into the 2010s, we see a massive shift. The era of the all-in-one portal really started to crack, and Yahoo entered the severe, drawn-out struggle to adapt to the changing rules of the web.
Section 2. Missing the Google opportunity, the search battlefield. The contrast in strategies here is honestly stark. Yahoo envisioned a crowded media portal. They wanted to keep you on their pages, constantly clicking their links. Google, on the other hand, they built focused search technology designed to help you leave their site and find what you actually wanted. And astoundingly, this still blows my mind, Yahoo actually had the chance to buy Google for just $1 million in 1998. But they passed. Why? Because they viewed search as merely a feature, not the foundational technology of the internet. Which leads us to the central question of our corporate autopsy today. Why did they miss the future? How did a company with billions in the bank, the absolute smartest engineers, and total market dominance ignore a technological shift that seems so incredibly obvious to us in hindsight? Well, the answer isn't just about bad code or unlucky market timing. The true failure happened behind closed doors. Section 3. Fatal internal leadership decisions, a crisis of identity. Let's look at the internal dynamics that caused this paralysis. Yahoo suffered from constant executive turnover. They essentially had this revolving door of leadership, and everyone who came in brought a totally different vision. This caused massive strategic uncertainty. Were they a media company? Were they a tech giant? Nobody really knew. This identity crisis made adapting essentially impossible. In fact, their lack of focus got so bad that in 2008, they turned down a massive $44 billion buyout offer from Microsoft, a move that basically sealed their fate as competitors just sped right past them. So the crucial point is, success can create fatal blind spots. Yahoo was so successful, so early on, that it actually worked against them. When you have a $125 billion valuation doing things one specific way, it is incredibly difficult for leadership to admit that the entire game has changed and that your current business model is obsolete. Their early victory totally blinded them to the necessary evolutionary steps required to survive the next era. Section 4. The fall of a digital empire. Losing internet leadership. There were really three distinct disruptive forces that fractured Yahoo's dominance. First was the mobile transformation. The whole world moved to smartphones, and Yahoo was incredibly slow to react. Second, new, highly agile competitors unbundled Yahoo services, dominating email, news, and search individually. And finally, this culminated in a permanent loss of internet leadership as user attention completely shifted away from the portal model. And the data brilliantly illustrates that exact dynamic. You can see the steep decline of portal relevance up against the explosive rise of the mobile and search ecosystems. The market wasn't shrinking, right? It was growing exponentially. But the users were moving to entirely new platforms, using completely different tools to navigate the web. Yahoo basically remained anchored to a sinking ship while the rest of the industry was out there building rocket ships. Section 5. Lessons from Yahoo's failure. Adapting to survive. So, what are the essential business lessons we can distill from this autopsy? Step 1. You have to recognize your success blind spots. What gets a company to $1 billion valuation will not necessarily keep it there. Step 2. Make clear technology decisions. You just can't be everything to everyone. Yahoo's failure to choose a single identity doomed them. Focus is absolutely critical. And step 3. Continually change as leaders. Tech leaders have to be willing to cannibalize their own successful products to survive a shifting landscape, instead of desperately holding on to an outdated identity. So as we wrap up our investigation, I want you to think about these core themes and ask yourself what the true fatal catalyst really was. What was Yahoo's biggest mistake? Was it simply missing the search opportunity to Google? Was it the revolving door of leadership decisions that paralyzed them? Was it a broader failure to adapt to new technology like mobile? Or was it something else entirely, a cultural flaw woven into the very fabric of the company from the beginning? Yahoo went from owning the very first internet era to completely failing to win